So this webinar is the mapping and routing webinar. This uses one of our searches, the interactive map. It's a very powerful tool. It's my favorite search for a few different reasons. But what we're going to talk about first is the standard search. Now, the standards that go to search, we're going to take a look at it. We're going to run a search and get some results. And the reason I want to do that is I want to show you the difference between running a search and a standard search and looking at them on a map versus what it looks like when you actually launch the interactive map right, where did my mouse go? Right here, the interactive map, and then exploring with the different tools within that map. So you get more features when you start in the interactive map, but we're going to show you what the difference is and hopefully answer some questions along the way. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pop over to my MLS dashboard here. I've already gone to prospector.metros.net. I put in my ID and my password, and here I am. This is what you should be seeing as well. And to launch Prospector Plus, that's our main MLS system. That's this one right here. We're just going to click on that button. A new tab opens up with that program. So we're going to see that here in a second. Perfect. All right. Those aren't working properly. Okay. Fantastic. All right, so before we jump into the interactive map, I just want to touch on some of the preferences. If you haven't updated your preferences, this is a huge time-saving tip. We're going to come right up here to admin. It's in between the products and the help under the menu bar right up here at the top. And we're going to come down to your preferences right there. Now what these preferences do, they're default so that when you launch the system, you don't have to do every single step all the time. It remembers some of the information, auto-populates it for you. And again, it just makes your life a little bit easier. But the first thing that I want to point out is, in fact, actually the only thing I want to point out today is the map defaults, and that's this one right down here. So if I scroll down a little bit, what you're going to see is that we have the statuses of all the properties. If you haven't launched the interactive map before, what you would normally see is a bunch of pins and bubbles, and those are actually the properties. So once you launch it, it automatically starts searching for properties. Well, what I like to do is I like to hide them by default, and that's this little checkbox right down here. And the reason I like that is because I can zoom in on an area, I can put in the search criteria that I'm looking for, and from there, I can then click show results. And again, it's just my personal workflow that I like. Feel free to use it if you want to. I think it just, it's just nice not to have to always hide those results or trying to make educated guesses. But the statuses, what do the statuses mean? Well, when I launch the interactive map, automatically it's going to start searching for active and contingent show properties. That's why they're both selected to yes. So as soon as I launch the map, it starts searching for properties there under those statuses. Now, if you only use the interactive map, let's say for a CMA report, a comparative market analysis report, you can also default it to pull up active, pending, and closed listings by selecting yes for all of those features. That way you don't always have to add those statuses. It's really up to you. Underneath the closed properties, you can see I've defaulted mine to search 90 days back. And the reason I did that is for comps, most appraisers I talk to say that they like to look 90 days back for comparable properties when they're running those. So that's just what I have mine set to. With all of these defaults, nothing is set in stone. I don't have to come back to this page and change it every single time. This is just what my computer is going to remember that I like to do. So for example, if I was running a CMA report in a place like Elk Grove, I might want to look back 2 weeks instead of a full 90 days because I'll probably be able to get some good comps in that area. If I'm in a place further east, like maybe up in Pioneer where there's less transactions happening, I might have to go back a full 180 or 360 days to find any comps just because there's less transaction activity up there. But it's completely up to you. It's just what do you want? Most of the time, 90% of the time, I want to look 90 days back. That's why I have it set like that. All right, once you update your preferences, you can click save right there in the top left-hand corner. And it says that those changes have been saved successfully. All right, so let's go on to the next thing that we're going to talk about, which is the standard search. So right here under searches, we're going to come down to standard. It's right there under quick standard right there. And this is usually the go-to search for everyone. It's a great search. It has a lot of criteria you can search by. I can search by property type right there. I have residential. I could switch to residential income if I want to. If you select more than one property type, you're going to notice that that additional criteria changes. Same thing if you select land. Whenever you select more than one property type, that option is taken away. And the reason is that each one of these property types have different amenities that make them very unique. So for example, between residential and land, you're not going to see any bedrooms and bathrooms because you're only going to see what they have in common. Residential and land. Land doesn't have bedrooms and bathrooms, therefore you won't see that as a search option. However, if you deselect it, come down here, and then there's bathrooms and there's bedrooms because I have one property type selected. The additional criteria, I was showing you that it was disappearing. What is it? The additional criteria is really refined search criteria. Things like I want it to be in an HOA, a homeowners association, or not. I want it to have a pool. I want it to be a single story home, things like that. This list here is in alphabetical order from association down to subtype description right down here. These are the more commonly used pieces of additional criteria, but once you get past subtype description, the list starts over. Again, it's still in alphabetical order, but these are less commonly used items, things like the builder model or the concessions comments, things like that. You can search by them, it's just less often used in this search setting. So in today's scenario, we're looking for residential properties, let's say a single family home. We have statuses selected. I'm going to stick with an active status today. The special listing conditions, if you don't know what those are just additional conditions that you're going to have to deal with when buying this property. Things like this property is a short sale right there, or it has a notice of default, things like that. If I want to target short sale properties, I can click on that checkbox underneath the include column, and that means I'll only find short sale properties. If I want to avoid short sale properties, I can hit exclude and I'll get everything except short sale properties. And if I just want a good old-fashioned resale property, do I have to come through here and click every one of these checkboxes? Absolutely not. You can just scroll down here to where it says none, and under that include column, we'll just select that right there, and that means that the property has no special listing conditions. So let's click OK. That's going to populate right there for us. Fantastic. Now, is there any particular area that anyone would like me to search in today? Modesto, Sacramento, Davis, Grass Valley. Is there any option? I'm going to let you guys choose today. Whoever wants to type in an area. Roseville, thanks, Elena. Okay, we're going to look in Roseville today. Now, there's a few different ways to search in Roseville. Down below, there's the city option. Right down, let me scroll down a little bit further. Where did it go? I must have missed it. Counties, there it is, city. So I could type in the city right there. There's also the MLS areas, and this is really nice if you're looking for a particular part of Roseville. And how can I search for Roseville by this area and district? So I can type it in, Roseville, and you can see that there are 3 different MLS areas within that city of Roseville. You can also type in the code and that'll populate it. Another way is you can click on this little paper right here with the magnifying glass. You can click on that and this little pop-up comes up. Now Roseville happens to be in, I want to say Placer County. Let's see. So under Placer, I'm just going to scroll down right here to where it says Roseville. There it is. There it is, and there it is. Those are the 3 separate Rosevilles, so I can select all of them and click OK, and it will populate those areas right there. And a reason I also like this is if I wanted to expand it into Sacramento County within the same search, maybe look in Granite Bay or Folsom, I could also do that as well. So here we have those areas selected. Let's run a preview count. Let's just see what we're working with. So we have 117 listings in the Roseville area. So now I can click view results or search. It takes it to the same place. And here we have our list of results. Now, if your list looks different from mine, well, that could be because you're set to the condensed view. I like the one-line grid. This is the only one that's customizable. I've added things like the photos, the showing instructions. You can do this too if you want to. Again, the one-line grid, if you want it set as your default, that's under your preferences underneath the searching defaults. And if you wanted to customize it and add a photo, for example, you can click this Customize Grid button. This is the only search results display that you can customize. All right, so I'm looking at, let's say this one has a nice little sunset right there. Let's get the most expensive one because those ones are fun. This one for a cool $1.8 million. All right, so if I want to see where this one property is on the map, I can go over here to the far right-hand side. There's that little globe in between all of these icons. There's that globe, and I can click on this one, and that's going to take me to the map where I can see this property. So this is how I can find one property in particular. And I can zoom out. I'm just clicking on these plus or minus icons right down there to see that. So there it is. Now that's one way to do it. Now, if I want to see where these properties are in relation to each other, maybe I like this one, and this one, I can select each one of these checkboxes right here, and I can come to this map button up here at the top. I can click on that, and now it's going to show me where all three of these properties are in relation to each other. So that's another way you can see the properties on a map. Now, the last option, we'll leave those selected, is I can come up here to where it says display and it says one line grid right now. I can come down to the map view, and that's going to show me where all 117 properties are. Notice that I selected those three properties before, and it's actually remembering that they've been selected. So I just wanted to point that out for you really quickly. So there's one, there's two, and on the far left-hand side, where up, there's that third one right there. Now I did get a question. So I did get a question about the one-line grid, about how to add photos. Stay on the line afterwards, and I'll walk you through how to do that if you're interested. Now, something that I want to point out on this map display is you won't see the search criteria on the far right-hand side. That's not there. If I wanted to just focus in on this little area over here, there's no drawing tools because we started in a standard search. So I can't refine the search criteria. If I click this Revise Criteria button, what this does is it actually takes me back to the standard search because this is how I narrowed down the results. Now let's switch gears and let's actually launch the interactive map and show you how it looks different. All right, so as you can see right away, I have my search criteria, so I can run searches for properties right over there. I have the drawing tools, so I can narrow it down to a very tiny little area, which is really helpful. So we're gonna be talking about all of that right now. But the first thing that you may have noticed is that I'm looking at Sutter Creek right now. Yours might tune you to Sacramento. And if you're tired of doing this move where you just left click and drag and try to get to the place that you want to go, well, here's a quick tip that makes it really easy. Up here in the top left-hand corner, there's a little Google search bar right up here. I can type in Florida, Texas, whatever I want, and Google Maps will take me there. However, we only show listing information within our coverage area. So let's say my main area, my farm area was down in Merced. So I just type in Merced, California, right up there. And it gives me some suggestions. Merced, California, yep. So I click right there. And then Google says, hey, Anthony, there's Merced, just in case you were wondering. Perfect. They even put a little pin in there for me. I'm going to remove this So if this is my farm area and this is where I'm using the map most of the time, well, what I can do, instead of doing that left click and drag motion the whole time, or typing this in every single time, I can come right up here to where it says more, and I can set this as my default map. Now, every single time I come right up here to where it says searches and click interactive map, it's going to take me right to this view and make my life a lot easier. So that's the nice thing to have right there, right off the bat. Now, right now, there are 77 properties on the map, and you can see that because right up here it says that there are 77 properties mapped. There are no restrictions on our map right now. So if I zoom out by using this little plus or minus button on the bottom right-hand corner, I could also use the scroll wheel if I have a mouse. As I zoom out, there's more map coverage area, so there's more properties found right there. And if I zoom in closer, there's less map area, so there's less properties found. So that's because we don't have any restrictions yet. Now, if you're wondering, well, where are all of those properties? Let's zoom out again. Now, if I actually want to see where they are, I can click this Show Results button, and that's going to populate all of those results there for me. And again, the reason that they were hidden temporarily was because of my preferences. Now, if I really zoom out far, you're going to see why. Let's zoom out a little bit there. So now I can't really see where the map is because they're all hidden. There's a bunch of properties in there and there and there and there. So I can't really see what's going on. That's why I like to temporarily hide them. Let's come back in here to Merced. So I'm looking at some green pins right there. I also see some little circles with numbers. What do those mean? Well, those just simply mean that the properties are so close together that they've been clustered. So I can either zoom in to have them break apart, or I can click on the little bubble and that'll also zoom you in to where they are. So you can see that these three properties are really close together. And we'll zoom back out. So that's great that I can see where the properties are, but I can't really see any of the information. Well, if you click on a property, let's say this one right there, I see a little information comes up. There's that little photo. I have all of these options right here. We're going to talk about these. I also have this neighborhood report. We're going to be talking about that. And this is nice that it shows you it's a 3-1 with just a little bit, just shy of 1,200 square feet. That's nice. But I could also click on the photo and I'll get the full property details right here on the right-hand side. So with these photos, I can scroll through the photos right there. I can even get a full screen view and view these as a slideshow if I want. Let's talk about some of these buttons here. Well, I can get a street view from clicking here. I can get directions to this property by clicking here or here. I can add this property to a cart by clicking here or here. And when you add a property to a cart, that's just saving that individual listing. So for example, I look at this property and I say, you know what, this would be a great one. I'm going to call the listing agent later today. And instead of trying to write it on the back of a business card or anything like that, you just click that add to cart button. And then you can add it to an existing cart, a new cart. I'm just going to add this one to my call later cart where, there you are, right there, call later, and click add. And now it's been added to a cart. Now, if I want to go and visit that listing and see that listing, I can just come back up here to carts. And then I'll come down to my call later cart. There it is. Here are all of those properties. And there is that 3-1 we were looking at right there. Now, I just lost that search and all of that search information that I ran through before. Well, another little quick tip. If you want to just rerun the last search that you had, come right up here to where it says searches, recent searches right up there at the top. Here's that last search that we ran today at 1:20 p.m. I can click on it. It's going to rerun the search and pull me the most up-to-date information. So today we are looking at 63 properties. If I was to run that recent search again tomorrow, I might be up to 65 because 2 new listings were added. The next day I might run it again. Now I'm down to 60 because 5 went from an active status to a pending status, and they don't match the search criteria. The recent searches and the saved hot sheets and the saved searches, they save the search criteria. If you want to save an individual listing, then you're going to want to add it to the cart like we just saw. Now I can also set up routing. That's going to give me directions to this place. We're going to be talking about that in a moment. If this was your listing, you would also have this little revise button right there. You can also share the listings from here. So if I click share, now if this was again your listing, you would have these Facebook options. If it is not your listing, then you're only going to have the email option. I'm going to hit cancel there. Now over here on this side, we have some more buttons. Like for example, this agent here, they added some virtual media. So I can actually click here to see what that virtual media is. It looks like it was a virtual tour. Fantastic. We could click on that. New tab opens up and we can see where that tour is. Very nice. Cancel that. I could also get the neighborhood report here or here. Let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks at. This is a really nice report, especially for your clients who aren't familiar with the area that they're moving into. This is nice because I can email this to my client and I can print this out and give it to them, but it's based off the census tract. So whatever census tract you're in, it's going to generate a report, even if there isn't an active listing there. But we got things like demographics, marital status, means of transportation, housing data, all right here for you. Monthly housing costs, average rent prices. This is great for an investor who wants to rent out the property. And then right down it says schools. Note the schools listed may not necessarily be the schools available for this listing. So I see all of these local schools right here. Let's say that I want to look at this John C. Fremont Elementary School right there. Oh, you know what? These aren't hyperlinked like they're supposed. Oh, that one is. Oh, it's just taking a little while. When you click on the school, that actually takes you to the school report. So right here, John C. Fremont Elementary proficiency exam scores, all that information. You can see if they are increasing and decreasing as well as far as quality is concerned. And as I scroll down, you can see the school enrollment by grade, nearest 6 schools, and then the top rated schools. So maybe you want to take a look at El Capitan High School. That sounds nice. So I can click on that one. So if you were to email this to your clients, they can actually come through and click around and look at all this stuff as well. So maybe they want to be a little bit closer to that school so that they can get into that, they can have their children go to that school. One thing you always want to keep in mind, I'm just going to come right back down here one last time, is that the schools listed may not necessarily be the schools available for that listing. You want to be very careful and explain that to your clients that just because they live near one of these schools doesn't mean that their children will be going to that school. And this report's also branded to you because, again, you're supposed to give this to your client, or you can give it to your client, I guess is what I should say. So that's the neighborhood report. You can get that right here. You can also get that right over here whenever you click on a property, or if you run a search for an address, for example, and Google puts that little pin there for you, well, hey, you can get the neighborhood report there as well. All right, so that's what you get when you click on a property, you get this information. Let's scroll down and see what else we have. We have the remarks, the confidential agent remarks, also known as the private remarks, listing summary. Oh, I almost forgot. This is a quick realist report. It's a little tax document. So if I wanted to know a little bit more information about this property, here's the owner name, location, tax information, the sell score, all this really great information. And if I wanted to jump into Realist to get some more information, I can click this link right here. I can launch directly into their comparables report. I can also launch into their neighborhood profile report right from here. So it's very quick and easy. All right, there's the agent office information, property features. Moving down, then the property history right there. You can see where it is on Google Maps, and they even have a little mortgage calculator for you. So I'm going to close out of these results right there, and I'm going to narrow that down. All right, so that's fantastic. But what if we want to narrow this down a little bit further? What if we don't want all bedroom types, but just specific bedroom types? Well, what we can do is we can come right up here to where it says search criteria in blue. I'll click that, And here is all of the search criteria. Now, if this is the first time you launch the map, it may prompt you to select a default property type. I have mine set to residential. Again, that's what I do most of the time. I look for residential properties, but if I want to change it, all I have to do is click right there where it says property type. I just click on that and it says residential, but I can also search for residential income, land if I want to. Now, what's really cool about the interactive map search is that not only can I search by those individual property types, but this is the only search that can do that. I can run a search by multiple property types. It'll pull up what they have in common, but it will also allow me to run searches by what they have unique to that property type. So again, residential has bedrooms and bathrooms, and land has, you can add more features as well. So if I wanted to add horse property down there, I could do that as well. But I'm sorry, it's common. So I have them on both of those. But for those of you who are wondering, well, what's the significance of that? My go-to example is, what if you have a client who wants to live near Merced, but they need at least an acre size of property and they're willing to build on it, but if it is a residence, if they do have a structure on it already, they need to have at least 3 bedrooms. This is how you can run it in one clean search without having to run multiple searches for both land and property. You can run it all in one. So that's really cool that you have that ability right here. Let's bring this back down to just a residential property. Okay. Now, if you're looking at mine and you see, well, Anthony's looks different. How did he get a pool there? How did he get any of these other things here? You can actually add searchable fields to your interactive map. So that's right here where it says fields. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the MLS areas. Now I could scroll down to A for areas, or I could type it in right here, AREA. No, I must have added it already. Let me go ahead and hit cancel. Did I add it? Did I spell it wrong? That would be really embarrassing if I did. No. Oh wait, MLS? Where did it go? This is gonna drive me nuts. Did they relabel it on me? Give me 1 second. Let's see. Oh yeah, area and districts. I already have it added. That's what the problem is. Okay, let's go back. Let's say I want to add, I don't know, a property with, or let's say I want to search for properties that, what's a good one? What's a good one? Let's see. I want to search for a property with certain pool features, right? Because I'm very particular about my pool. So I'm going to select that one and I'll click add, and it moves it from this available fields to the selected fields. So I'm going to click add. That number jumped up to 30, and you can see that it's been added right down there at the bottom. Now, if I want to keep this near the pool, I can just click on it, highlights it in that blue color, and I'll just move it up to where the pool was. Come up the list. There it is. Up, there it is. Then I'll just click save. And you only have to do this once, because once you add it, it's going to stay there. But there's the pool. So if I wanted to search for a property with a pool, I click on pool, I click select, and I click yes. Pool features right there. Okay, I want this to be, let's say, a pool spa combo. So I'll include that one and hit okay. All right, I'm not seeing a lot of properties with, oh, here's one right up there with a pool spa combo. Very nice. And oftentimes I'll also get asked, Anthony, what's the quickest way to just wipe everything off and restart? Just come right back up here to where it says searches, click interactive map again. That's going to take you right back to your default map and wipe everything clean for you. All right, so we're looking for properties. Let's look in a different area. So one way to jump to an area is right here under search criteria. And as you can see, I added area and district, so I'm going to click on that one. Now I can type in the name, I can type in the code like 10831 right there, and I can select it, or I can even look it up by county. So they're in alphabetical order: Amador, Butte. You're gonna have all of our main coverage areas up at the top, but once you get down enough on the list, let's see, then you're gonna start going into our reciprocal partners, which is really cool that you can search within our reciprocal partners as well. I'm just gonna collapse this right there by clicking on it again. And let's take a look at these results real quick. All right, so we have a bunch of results right up here in the pocket area. And let's say our client likes these properties, but they want to stay on the west side of I-5 because they just like that area nicer. So let's just hide those results again, right, like that. Now, I only want to be on this west side of I-5, so I'm going to click this draw button, and you have all 4 of these tools here. You have the radius, the pencil, the rectangle, and the polygon. Now, if you're using a laptop and you don't have a mouse, then this polygon is your best friend, because what you can do is you just click and click and click, and this is just all you have to do. You just come around this way and then back down here, and every time you click, it just gives you a little bend in the shape. So I'll just follow this area all the way back, and then to finish it, you just click on that white square. They call it a handle. So I'll just click on that. And now I will find only the properties that are within that shape. But looks like we kind of went a little bit too far east of I-5 there. Well, can I fix that? Well, now that you've drawn your shape, you can hit that edit button right there, and you can click on it. Or you can click on the shape, it does the same thing, and you'll see all those little editing handles where I can bring that in. I can even click on that blue handle and move the shape around all together. Let's just come back like that. There we go, and done. So now I'm searching for properties just within that shape. Now let's zoom in, or I'm sorry, zoom out a little bit more. And let's say your client likes this area, but they like other areas too. Now, this is really cool, is that you can draw multiple shapes on the map. So for example, if my clients like this little area over here in Florin, and then let's say they like this little area over here. And remember, these are left click and drag, left click and hold and drag. They like that area up there. And then maybe they like this little rectangle right there. They like that area. Now I can search within 1, 2, 3, 4 shapes. And that's really nice because your clients are going to like these little pocket areas, not necessarily the whole zip code or the whole city of Sacramento. And if you're looking at this and you're saying, wow, there really aren't any properties near Land Park, Florin, or even this area north of Laguna. Well, actually, this is a common mistake that I see, so that's why I did this on purpose. I wanted to show you. Right here where it says search criteria on the top right-hand side, you can see that we are searching for properties that are within these shapes that are also within this MLS area. And these aren't in the MLS area of the Sacto Southland Park area, the pocket area. They're not in that same MLS area, so there aren't any results. So what I can do is I can click on area and districts. I can click on that one. I'll just delete that out there, collapse that back down, and you'll see that all of those properties in those areas have been populated. Now let's go ahead and take it a step further. I'm just going to remove these extra shapes. Let's come back over here to the pocket area. Let's say your client wants to live at least maybe 2.5 miles away from this airport, just because they think it's a little noisy. So what I can do is I can click draw, and we'll take that little radius tool there, and I'm just going to, from the airport, left click and drag out just to the point that we get to 2 miles. And you can see that on the far right hand side. So let's go to 2 miles even. There we are. And then the number in the center is the square mileage, just in case you're wondering. So I can set that up like that. Fantastic. But now it's searching within the airport airspace as well as in the pocket area. That's not what we want. We want it to exclude this area. So we're going to click that edit button again. And right there where it says circle, again, you can click on this one as well. If you have multiple shapes, you can click over there. I'm going to hit exclude. And now it draws it in that red shape. So now I'm only finding properties that are on the west side of I-5 in the pocket area and at least 2 miles away from the airport. Now, this is great, but this is an area, this is a search that I have to run 5 times a day, 7 days a week, and I'm just getting tired of drawing these shapes. Well, you can also come up here and, where to go? Where, yeah, there you are. I can hit save with that little floppy disk there. And now I can give this a name. So I'm gonna name this one pocket area. So what's nice about this is that it's going to save those shapes. So whenever there's a new result that's within that shape, it's going to be able to pull that up and I don't have to draw it around every single time. I can also add this to my market watch. So I'll click yes, perfect, right there, I'll click save. Search has been saved. For those of you who are wondering what the market watch is, let me go ahead and open up a new little prospector window by clicking on that square with an arrow and I'll show you. So right here on your home page, there's this one that says Market Watch, and you have your drop down where you can add a new save search that you might have, but this is that pocket area, one that we just created. So I can have that selected, and now every time I come in, this will look 1 day back. I can change it up to 7 days back, and it's going to show me the most recent activity in that save search that I just created. Super quick, super easy. You can also have some charts right there. Looks really nice. Excellent, excellent. And then there's also a list view. All right, so let's close out of this window. Let's go back to our interactive map. All right, so the next thing that I want to show you is the layers. Now I'm going to hide these shapes because they take up a little room. So let's just hide those shapes real quick. Now, right next to this show hide button, there's this layers option right there. So I can click layers, and what these layers do is they provide you with more information on the area. They act as kind of like those transparencies from school, if you remember those, that the teacher would put them over something and you could draw on them and that goes up on the projector, kind of like that. So they are based off the county. Different counties will have different layers, but they should all have this parcels layer right there. So I'm going to click on that. And if you see this little circle with the arrows right there, that just means you're zoomed out a little bit too far. So you can actually manually zoom in by using your mouse or even those little plus or minus icons, or you can click on that little layer right there, and that's going to zoom you in as far as it needs to. And let's look at this one right here. Here's a property right there. And I have all these parcels around it. When I click on these parcels, it's also going to show you the tax information because we've imported that tax data from Realist. So I can even pull up a tax report right there. But let me show you something else. Now that I have these parcels selected, let's pretend that this is our open house. And I want to invite all of the neighbors to my open house, hopefully generate some new clients. Well, what I can do is I can hold Control on my keyboard. I can hold Command on a Mac if you're using a Mac, but Control, and I'm just going to individually click on each one of these parcels right there. Let's do this one and this one too. And now what I can do is I can click this Print Labels button right there, and it's going to format it into Avery 5160 for me. I just put that piece of paper in, the Avery 5160, and I come up here and I print this, and I can just peel those off and put those on an invitation or a letter or anything and send those out. It's very quick, very easy to do, absolutely free. Now, if your parcel disappears because if your parcel clipboard disappears because you accidentally clicked out of it, how do you get it back up? You just come right back up here to where it says checked, and then you select parcels, and that'll bring it right back up for you. I'm gonna go ahead and clear that off. You can stack your layers too, so you can see the acreage, the address, tax ID, parcel dimensions, unimproved parcels right there. Let's zoom out a little bit. So we can see some unimproved parcels. Let's see, where are you? Up too far. I was hoping that I'd see just a couple. There's a couple right here. So the unimproved parcels show up in this little magenta color here. If I click on it, all it really shows you is that it's vacant, residential, and under 2 acres. That's pretty much about it. But if you select both the unimproved parcels and the parcels layer, you can actually see who owns that property. This trust owns the property. I can maybe reach out to the trust because here's their mailing address right there, and I could see if they're interested in selling their lot before it even hits the market. So that's something that you can do to drum up some business. All right, let's take a look at some of these other layers. Zoom out a little bit more. We have the county recorded sales for up to 36 months. So you can see all the properties that have sold. And what's nice about that is that this is from the tax database. So it's also going to pull up all of the off-market transactions and the FSBOs. Not the active ones, but the closed ones, just to be perfectly clear. You can look for some foreclosures. So defaults within the last 30 days. Here's one. I can click on that. That's not coming in very nicely. Let's close that. Let's try that again. Interesting. That's supposed to be a little bit more opaque, but I'll just highlight it so it's a little bit easier to see. What you can see, notice of default, you can see all this information right there. It even has the delinquent amount right there for you. Super quick, super easy. We have the MLS areas. So we have MLS areas. Those are going to include our reciprocal partners. So if you get over towards that area in the Bay Area, you can see their MLS areas as well. We also have the Metrolist only areas. They're both pretty much the same for when you're looking in our area. But this is how you can actually learn about your area. If you hear people talk about the codes, 10822, 10831, that's how I actually learned about this one, is that I was searching for that code. This is a nice little interactive map so that you can see where those areas are. You have some like modeled data right there. It's an automated valuation model. It's kind of like the Zillow Zestments, if you remember those. Accidentally clicked on that, so let's do that again. And you can see if you click on it, it's not a replacement for a CMA. It's not very accurate. Somewhere between 366 to 537,000. Not a replacement whatsoever for a good old CMA report. Here's a nice one that's coming up next, the schools. You have the private and the public schools. Let's look at all of the public elementary and middle schools right there, so you can see all of those schools right here. You can also click on it. Actually, let's come up here. Let's do this one. You can click on it, you can actually see the school. This one is an elementary and a middle school, but you can see that school grade. You can also jump straight into that school report. All right. Oh, and they also have hyperlinks to the test, county website with those test scores. I'm going to leave that one up because I'm going to come back to that one. You also have things like administrative. Also, this one's really nice because it has things like subdivisions. So let me scroll in here, look at subdivisions real quick. So you'll see all of these layers for subdivisions. I'm sorry, you'll see all of these different little areas for the subdivisions. If you're in San Joaquin County, they call it maps and plats. But let's say I have a client that really wants to live in a particular subdivision. They want to live in this one right here. Maybe it's called Shaw River Way Estates or something. Well, legally it's recorded as S126017, but everyone calls it Riverway Estates or something like that. Well, this is really cool. What I can do is I can click on that shape right there, that little parcel, and I can click include in search. And what it will do is it'll draw the perfect shape around there, and it will add it as a search result right there. So let's go ahead and I'm going to, let's go back to my layers and let's remove that polygon one and the circle. And now let's show you what it looks like if we take away that layer. There you go. So now we only have that one result within that shape in that little area right down there. So that is something that you can do. Again, you can save this as a saved search. It's very useful because some clients want to live in particular subdivisions. You can even set this up for auto prospecting so it automatically emails you once there is a new listing in that area. But there's a lot of different layers in here like zip codes, hazards. So you have like the flood data in there, transportation. Let's minimize those ones. Current MLS listings, you can see open houses coming up within the next 14 days. If you were on my morning class, you heard me say, market your open houses on your listings, because if you just stick a sign out in the front yard, we're not gonna know about it. So if you actually put the effort in, market your open house through Prospector, you would see it in places like this. So all those open houses within the next 14 days. It looks like there's a couple up here, right there. So you can see that open house right there, and that's the date and the time for it. What I also like is the My Company listings. My Company doesn't have listings because I'm not really an agent, but you would see all of the listings within your with your company, as well as you can do My Office. Now it'd just be within your particular brokerage. So that's kind of a nice way to quickly pull up that information. You have expired MLS listings, MLS listed sales, and off-market MLS listings in the past year. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove that shape too, because I want all of these nice little listings here. So let's say my clients, let's say I want to take them on a tour of some of these properties here. Let's say, okay, so let's say they want to see maybe this one, these two over here, and this one. How can I do that? How can I really do it nicely and look really professional doing it? Well, let me go ahead and borrow an address. I'm going to come down here to layers real quick. Just real quick, I just need to borrow a quick address. Let's say that your office is at 26 Stanislaus Circle. I'm just going to borrow that real quick. So step one, you got to find your starting point, right? If you're going to take them on a tour, where are you meeting them? This could be their house. This could be your office. We're just going to put that address right up here. I'm just going to paste that in, and I'll delete some of it because it's not formatted like Google Maps. So there we go. 26 Stanislaus Court, Circle, Sacramento, California. I choose that option. Google puts its little pin in there for me. It says that's your starting point. Excellent. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this. I'm going to change this name to My Office. I'll click Save. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add it to my route. I'll click on that, and that just takes it and it adds that stop on my route. Fantastic. Let's close out of there. Let's close out of there. Now we're going to find the properties we want to go and see. I'm going to click on this one, not that one because it doesn't have a photo. Let's do this one instead. I'll click that one, and then maybe this one over here, and let's do this one over here too. That looks nice. So all I've done is I've clicked on those individual properties, like this one right here, and when I click on a checkbox, all that simply does is it says I want to select more than one property for a purpose. That purpose could be running a CMA, emailing them. In today's case, we're going to be using this for routing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this More button. That first option there is routing. I'm going to select that, and there's our office still. It's still in that clipboard. I'm just going to click Add Checked. And there you go. It just brought in all 4 of those properties. I could have also individually clicked that routing button one at a time to bring them in. Now this is just the order of how I selected them. That's not the most fuel efficient or time efficient, stoplight efficient way or anything like that. It's just the order that I selected them because I can click, oops, lost it, there we go. I can click and drag, and I could, that's interesting. Let me click on that one more time. More routing, there it is. So when you have your mouse over that little up and down arrow, you'll see I have a 4-way arrow. Then I can click and drag and change the order of how they appear. And maybe this is because one has more restrictive showing times or anything like that. But now I can click Get Directions right there, and it actually opens up a new tab in Google Maps, and it shows me how to get from all of those places. So this was our starting point. Maybe it makes more sense to come up to Gloria Drive first. So I'll just bring this one up here, drop that off like that. Perfect. And then down maybe Flowerwood Way is the best one to go last. So I'll just bring that down there and change the order. Easy. So I have my route all set up. Now what I can do, if you have a Google account, you can click Send Directions to your phone. And if you have Google on your phone, like a Google account set up on your phone, you can send it directly to the app, Google Maps. You can email it to yourself, and you can also text it to yourself. I understand emailing it to yourself is the better way because if you close out of the app, you could lose those directions, but you always have that email, so you could always start that app back up. So email it to yourself if you want. If you don't have a Google account and you refuse to get one, well, you can also just click options. Oh, not options. Where did it go? Let's see, what? Details, right there. You can click details and you can print or share them this way. So those are some other options. That's one way to actually navigate to these properties. There is another way, and it's the reason why I left up the school layer there. After this step, after you've added your properties to your routing clipboard, you can close out of there. Instead of clicking Get Directions, you close out. You can also launch this map report right up here in the top right corner. You can click on that, and that's going to show you a map of, take that off, add the routing. That's going to show you a map of all of the properties as well as all of the points, all of those listings right there. This first stop is my office. That's where we're at right there. And what's also really nice is that if you have any layers selected, those will also appear up here on the map display. So if your clients are really concerned about flood zones, hazards, or if their kids are already going to this school and you want them to keep being able to, or a shorter commute time, you can say, look how close this property is to the school, super close. But as you scroll down, you have directions from A to B to C to D to E, and you can print this and you can hand it to them, or you can save it, print it as a PDF and then email it to them. That's another way to use this report. So very convenient way to use that report. I'm gonna hit close. Because there's one last thing that I wanna show you, and that's, let's say you get a phone call from a client and they say, hey, Anthony, I want you to be my agent. I've heard really good things about you. I want you to come see my home on 26 Stanislaus Circle. So you say, okay, I'll come over later tomorrow. Well, I'm going to instead come in here to Prospector Plus into this interactive map, and there's little Google man right down here in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm just gonna left click and drag him. Now, anywhere that Google has taken a street view of has a blue line right there. So I can drop him off anywhere on that blue line, and I could left click and drag and spin him around a little bit until I see, okay, well, there's that little red pin. Okay, that's the property my client's talking about. It's a nice little street. It's very quaint, very calm. This is going to be a great house to list. But this photo is great, but how old is it? Is this a 10-year-old photo? Well, right up here underneath the address, as you can see, it's kind of hard to see because it's so dark right there, but it says View on Google Maps right up here in the top left corner. I can click on that. A new tab in Google Maps is going to open, and here again it's showing me the street view, but it also shows me that little clock symbol now. I can click on it and I can see that this photo was taken in 2017, 5 years ago, which isn't too bad. But I can also see every time they've come by and they've stopped to take a look. Look, this one had a tree. This property had a tree before. Very cool. Now, I think that this is a really good option because if there were any additions made on the home or anything like that, it's good to be aware of that because maybe they didn't get a permit for that. So keep that in mind. Maybe that tree fell down and crushed the roof. So it has a new roof. And was that permitted? So just again, more information to keep in mind. I've always feel like the more information, the more prepared you are for your listing, the better. But that's just an option. Again, how did we do that? One more time, we just took little Google Man, dropped him off anywhere there's a blue line, and that gave us the street view. Now, if this was a gated community and Google couldn't drive through it, well, you still have a satellite view right there. You can zoom in on that little property down there, and at least you can see, okay, well, I'm not seeing a pool in the backyard. Oh, well, it's kind of hard to see. There's little trees right there. Well, I can spin around a little circle and see if I can get a better view. Okay, it doesn't look like there's a pool there. Ooh, they look like they have a nice little garden over there. But it's just a nice way, again, to get more information, see if they have any solar panels. Unfortunately, this one doesn't tell you when the photo was taken, when that satellite photo was taken. But that is what it is. All right, let's go back to the map view. So I did show you a lot of information today. I don't expect you to remember every single little piece of it, but I do want to remind you that you will be receiving that recording. It does take about an hour or so. If you don't get it for whatever reason, give the training department a phone call, give us an email. Happy to send that out to you. That is not a problem whatsoever. If you need immediate assistance with your map and the training department phone calls, well, it's probably because we're in the middle of a class and we can't answer the phone. So if that's the case, call this number minus the extension. Oops, that's going to take you to the main line. From there, you can talk to tech support, and they're well versed on all of our programs and products. They're available 7 days a week, Friday from 7:30 in the morning till 6 in the evening, and Saturdays and Sundays from 9 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. I want to thank you for hanging out with me today. I'm going to stay online just in case there are any further questions. If you don't have any questions, please have a great day. Have a great weekend. Hope to talk to you all real soon. Yeah, so if any questions, go ahead and send them through. And thank you for joining.